Every dream has to begin somewhere. Mine begins here, in the quiet of the morning, with horses eating breakfast, chickens scratching in the dirt, and a rooster making sure that nobody sleeps too late. For most of my life, horses have felt like a world I was always trying to find my way back to. And now, I finally have.
Think about that. Think about that, buddy.
This place has become my classroom. Not because it's perfect, but because every morning here reminds me why I fell in love with horses in the first place. The funny thing is, I can't really remember a time when I wasn't completely obsessed with them. Some kids dreamed about being astronauts. Some wanted to be professional athletes. I wanted horses. And somehow, after all these years, that little kid is still chasing the same dream. I've been an animal person for as long as I can remember. If there was a dog to pet, a horse to watch, or some animal that needed attention, that's where you'd find me. Looking back, I think animals were the first place I ever felt completely at home. But horses were different. They weren't just another animal to me, they became an obsession. I'd read about them, draw them, watch anything I could find, and dream about the day I'd have one of my own. By high school, that obsession had turned into FFA horse judging. I wasn't showing horses yet. I was learning how to evaluate them, to understand movement, balance, structure, and soundness. Without realizing it, those contests were teaching me how to really see the horse. And then, I got Scarlet. She wasn't just my first horse. She was the dream I'd been carrying around since I was a little kid. Like most horses, we learned together. I made mistakes, and she forgave a lot of them. And somewhere along the way, she showed me that horses aren't just something you ride. They have a way of changing who you are. She started me on a path that even after years away from horses, never really ended. Scarlet and I did a little bit of everything. We competed in reining, team pinning, and junior rodeos. We even won a saddle together. She wasn't just my first horse. She was the horse that made me fall in love with the lifestyle. Life eventually took me away from horses, and I had to say goodbye to Scarlet. But I never really left working animals behind. Gypsy, my first Australian Shepherd, changed everything. She was a natural stock dog who loved horses as much as I did, and she taught me what an incredible partner a good dog can be. And then there was Reba. She may have been a toy Aussie, but nobody ever told her that. She's just as fast, fearless, and always right behind Gypsy, doing her best to keep up with the big dogs and even chasing horses like she belonged out there. The three of us had a lot of incredible adventures together, but as the girls started slowing down with age, I knew it was time to start looking for a new hiking partner. Reba retired to live with my brother where she could enjoy a slower pace. while Gypsy helped me teach the new puppy, Zeppelin, the ropes before it was her time to say goodbye. Zeppelin came into my life as a tiny puppy with some very big paws to fill. He and Gypsy quickly became inseparable, and watching her teach him the world was something I'll always be grateful for. Now, Zeppelin wasn't exactly easy. He had enough energy for 3 dogs, and there were days I wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. But that same drive is what makes him such an incredible partner today. Zeppelin brought a whole new spark to Gypsy's life. If you've ever had a dog like Gypsy, you know they're never just a pet. She was family. She was there through some of the best years of my life, always ready for the next adventure. Whether it was hiking a mountain, swimming in a lake, camping under the stars, or just riding shotgun with her head out the window. She had this incredible way of making every day feel like an adventure. When Zeppelin came along, she stepped right into the role of teacher. She showed him how to explore, how to be confident, and how to find joy in every new place we visited. Watching the two of them together was one of the greatest gifts I've ever had. As the years went by, I could see her slowing down, but she never lost that spark. She kept exploring for as long as her body would let her, and she made every mile count. Saying goodbye to her was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But if there's one thing Gypsy taught me, it's that life is meant to be lived outside, with good dogs, good friends, and as many adventures as you can fit into the time you're given. That's a lesson Zeppelin and I still carry with us every day. After years away from horses, I decided it was time to find my way back. I became a certified equine sports massage therapist, hoping it would be my bridge back into the horse world. Not long after, I reconnected with an old friend, Brianna, who invited me out to practice on her horses. That one decision opened a door I never expected. When a coworker found out that I do equine massage, she invited me out to her property to meet their horse Cinch, who had been struggling with chronic back pain for quite a while. His owner was willing to try just about anything that might help him feel more comfortable, so I started making the drive out every week to work on him. Session after session, I got to know Cinch. Not just his sore muscles, but his personality. There was something incredibly rewarding about watching him begin to relax, move more freely, and enjoy being touched again. Those weekly visits became something I genuinely looked forward to. They reminded me how much I loved being around horses, even if all I was doing was helping them feel a little better. When my coworker asked me how much I charge for equine massage, I asked her if they had any horses that I could ride instead in exchange for my work. She smiled and said absolutely, I'm sure her mother would be happy to have me ride some of her barrel horses. That simple exchange changed everything. Before long, I was exploring their 80-acre ranch on horseback. And for the first time in more than 20 years, I was loping again. It reminded me exactly where I belonged. That ranch also introduced me to restorative farming and a different way of thinking about land, livestock, and stewardship. For the first time, I wasn't just dreaming about riding again. I was dreaming about building a life around it.
Push him a little faster.
Around that time, I decided to start where I was. If I wanted to steward land someday, I figured I should prove I could take care of a little piece of it first. So I transformed my tiny backyard, planting grass, citrus trees, and succulents. Before long, I was harvesting lemons from trees I'd planted with my own hands. It wasn't a ranch, but it was the first step toward the life I was trying to build. The more time I spent out on that ranch, the more I realized this wasn't just a hobby anymore. That's great. That's awesome. Every visit left me inspired and wanting to learn more. The more time I spent out on that ranch, the more I realized this wasn't just a hobby anymore. Every visit left me inspired and wanting to learn more. My friend Brianna, who's a dressage trainer, invited me to a dressage clinic, not to ride, but to watch, learn, and lend a hand. That day opened another door. She introduced me to a beautiful Warlander mare. For those of you who don't know what a Warlander is, it is half Frisian and half Andalusian. I told her I'd always dreamed of owning a Frisian. Instead of just agreeing, she shared some of the realities of the breed, the health challenges, the maintenance, the things that people don't always talk about. Then she said something that stuck with me. If you love what a Frisian represents, you should take a serious look at Andalusians. That conversation completely changed the direction of my search. Before the day was over, I'd also met the barn owner, the dressage trainers, people who would become some of my most important mentors on this journey. Looking back now, it's amazing how many life-changing moments started with someone simply saying, "Come spend the day with me." As I got back deeper into the horse world, I started doing the math. Boarding costs, feed, farrier bills, vet care, horse prices, a house with enough acreage to someday have horses of my own. The numbers were humbling. I realized I had two options: either find a way to make a whole lot more money or drastically reduce my expenses so I could start building toward that future. So I made a decision to move in with 2 roommates, not because it was my dream living situation, but because every dollar I saved could go toward the life I really wanted. I got started at 5 a.m. and everything is moved, including all the dirt that I could scoop up. And I just put it in some baby pools. All my plants. This is the backyard. Zeppelin is playing frisbee back here. I'm gonna put all these in the planters. Ugh. Yep, that's it. Now I just gotta get it all set up. Every dollar I save is another dollar invested into the future I want. At the time I moved, I didn't have a detailed plan. I didn't have a roadmap. I just knew I had to start somewhere. I couldn't get Andalusians out of my head. One day at work, I was showing my friend Vicky pictures of the kinds of horses I hope to own someday. She smiled and said, "Those look a lot like my horses." And she showed me pictures of her buckskin mare, Amara. And the Perlino stallion that she had bred her to. The result was this beautiful Perlino filly named Aurora. Vicky began to open up to me about how worried she was if something ever happened to her. She wanted someone she could trust to feed them and care for them if she couldn't. Without hesitation, I told her I would love to be that person. A few days later, I found myself standing in a pasture surrounded by the very horses I'd been dreaming about. I got to help her let them out in the arena to run around and stretch their legs and roll in the dirt. Vicky even got on and rode her mare Amara around bareback with just a halter on. And then she looked at me and said, "Do you want to ride her?" I was so nervous because I hadn't ridden bareback in over 20 years. I didn't know the mare, but I definitely couldn't pass up an opportunity to ride my first Andalusian. So I climbed on with nothing more than a halter, and I was hooked. That brings us to today. I'm still learning, still making mistakes, still asking questions, but every week I'm one step closer to becoming the horseman I've always wanted to be. Over the next months, you'll be right here with me. We'll explore the traditions of the Vaqueros, learn from incredible horsemen and horsewomen, discover the world of dressage, working equitation, and liberty. We'll meet some unforgettable horses, and maybe even convince Zeppelin he was born to be a ranch dog. This isn't a channel about pretending to know everything. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and sharing the journey. So if that sounds like your kind of adventure, welcome to Vaquero Gringo. I'll see you in the next episode.